Fighting games have come a long way since their humble beginnings in the arcades of the late 1970s. From the simple graphics of the early fighting games to the vibrant anime-inspired battles of the present, the genre has undergone a remarkable evolution that has captivated players and spectators alike. But what is it about these games that have made them so enduringly popular? Is it the thrill of the competition, the satisfaction of mastering complex moves and combos, or the opportunity to step into the shoes of larger-than-life characters and duke it out in fantastical arenas? In this exploration of the early history of fighting games, we'll dive into the origins of the genre, examine its most influential titles, and trace its evolution into the modern era. With that being said, I invite you to join me on a journey as we uncover the secrets of one of gaming's most beloved genres. In 1976, Sega released an arcade game called Heavyweight Champ, which is recognized as one of the earliest examples of a video game featuring hand-to-hand combat between two characters. The game had a side-view perspective with monochrome sprite visuals. It featured two boxing glove controllers, one for each player, which could be moved up and down to perform high and low punches. An inward movement would initiate striking, aiding an interactive element to the gameplay. Even though the game's graphics were in black and white, the game was still a commercial success in Japan, becoming the third highest grossing arcade video game of 1976. Another early fighting game that is often cited is Warrior, which was released in 1979 by Vector Beam. Developed by Tim Skelly while working at Cinematronics, the game featured two dueling knights, rendered in monochrome vector graphics, and based on crude motion capture techniques. Due to the limitations of the hardware used, the processor could not render the characters and gaming environment at the same time, and backgrounds were printed with the characters projected on top. Skelly initially planned for a two-player system, with each player using two joysticks, one to control the movement of the other player and the other controlling the player's weapon. However, financial constraints restricted the cabinet to one stick for each character and a button to switch between character and weapon modes. Despite its limitations, Warrior is considered an early precursor to the modern fighting game genre, and its influence can be seen in the development of later fighting games that built upon its successes and innovations. Punch-Out was developed by Nintendo and released in 1984. It was the inaugural title in the renowned Punch-Out series. Upon its release, the game received critical acclaim for its innovative gameplay mechanics and immersive graphics. It was an immediate commercial success, becoming the highest-grossing arcade game of 1984 in the United States. Punch-Out remains an iconic game to this day and has been ported to various gaming consoles such as the NES and the Wii. It is widely considered one of the most influential and innovative fighting games of all time, and its legacy continues to influence the genre to this day. Karate Champ was developed by Technos Japan and released in arcades by Data East in 1984. The game features dual joystick controls that allowed players to perform a variety of moves, in the best of three match, which later became a common feature in fighting games. Karate Champ was highly successful, particularly in the United States, where it became the highest grossing arcade game of 1985 and the best-selling home computer game until 1989. Its popularity has helped establish and popularize the one-on-one fighting game genre and will go down as one of the most influential fighting games of all time. ER Kung Fu is an arcade fighting game that was developed by Konami and first released in Japan in October of 1984. The game is considered one of the pioneers of modern fighting games, along with Karate Champ, which influenced ER Kung Fu's development. The game also drew inspiration from Bruce Lee's martial arts films, with the main character modeled after Lee himself. Unlike Karate Champ, which had a more realistic fighting style, ER Kung Fu focused on a more fast-paced action. It introduced a variety of special moves and high jumps for each character, which would later become standard elements in fighting games. Overall, ER Kung Fu's contributions helped establish the foundation for the genre of modern fighting games. The Way of the Exploding Fist was released in 1985 and developed by Beam Software. The game was initially created for the Commodore 64 and published by Melbourne House in May of 1985, with subsequent ports made for other platforms soon after. Unlike modern fighting games that use an energy bar, The Way of the Exploding Fist require the player to acquire two complete yin-yangs to win. The player earns a half a yin-yang icon for a loosely timed or borderline attack, while a well-executed move earns a full icon. Any successful move that connects with the opponent ends the round, and two complete icons progress the player to the next level. The Way of the Exploding Fist would stand out for its uniqueness and will go down as one of the earliest influencers in the fighting game genre. In 1987, Capcom developed Street Fighter, which was their first competitive fighting game and the first game in the Street Fighter series. The arcade game was very popular and introduced special attacks as well as some features that later fighting games would come to make standard. The director of Street Fighter was Takashi Nishiyama, who adapted the boss battles from his previous game Kung Fu Master and would adopt this aspect into a one-on-one fighting game. The game also had two spiritual successors: Capcom's beat-em-up Final Fight, which was initially called Street Fighter 89, and SNK's fighting game Fatal Fury King of Fighters 1991, which was designed by Takashi Nishiyama himself. Street Fighter's phenomenal success led to a sequel, Street Fighter 2, in 1991, which evolved the gameplay and achieved worldwide success. Street Fighter 2 becoming debatably the greatest fighting game of all time. With its unique cast of characters, each with their own special moves and fighting styles, Street Fighter 2 introduced many conventions that would become standard in the fighting game genre. It also paved the way for future fighting games and spawned a massive franchise that continues to this day. Fatal Fury was released in 1991 by SNK Corporation for its Neo Geo line of arcades. With its diverse cast of characters, along with its beautiful large sprite graphics and amazing background detail, it wouldn't take long for Fatal Fury to become one of the most popular fighting games of all time. After Fatal Fury, SNK would go on to produce many classic arcade fighting games, such as the Samurai Showdown and Art of Fighting series, just to name a few. The success of Fatal Fury also paved the way for SNK's renowned King of Fighters series, solidifying its place in fighting game history as a pioneer of the genre. Mortal Kombat, developed by Midway Games and released in 1992, took the fighting game genre to a new level, with its innovative use of digitized graphics and its emphasis on violent, gory combat. The game was controversial from the start, but it was also hugely successful, thanks in part to its unique style and its memorable cast of characters. Mortal Kombat also introduced the concept of finishing moves, or fatalities, which became a trademark of the franchise and a defining feature of the fighting game genre. Together, Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat helped to establish the fighting game genre as one of the most popular and enduring in all of gaming. The pair would influence many other fighting games, sometimes to the point of that game being called a Street Fighter or a Mortal Kombat clone. One very notable game to draw this inspiration would be the legendary Killer Instinct. Virtua Fighter emerged as a captivating series of fighting games crafted by Sega AM2 under the creative direction of Yu Suzuki. Making its debut in October 1993, the original Virtua Fighter games paved the way for 4 main sequels and various spin-offs. Renowned as a groundbreaking 3D fighting game, Virtua Fighter holds a significant influence within the genre. Like most fighting games, the core gameplay mechanic of the series revolves around 2 opponents fighting for victory through a best-of-3 match, each round typically lasting a minimum duration of 30 seconds. Competitors use an array of techniques and maneuvers to diminish their opponent's stamina gauge and secure a KO victory. A round can also end in a ring out, which is when a character is either knocked out or pushed beyond the boundaries of a stage. Virtua Fighter was very ahead of its time, and it would go on to inspire countless other popular fighting games, such as Tekken or the Soul Calibur series, just to name a few. Tekken is a series of 3D fighting games developed and published by Namco in 1994. Originally intended for arcades, this renowned franchise has expanded its reach to numerous platforms. The impact of Tekken extends beyond commercial success. In 2017, the series made its mark in the Guinness Book of World Records, securing 2 significant accolades. These include the record for the longest running video game storyline and possessing the longest running consistent video game universe. Tekken will always remain a fan favorite and will always be remembered to many as the greatest fighting game of all time, with debates consistently going back and forth between communities on who actually holds this title. Soul Calibur stands as an acclaimed franchise of weapon-based fighting games. Crafted by Bandai Namco Studios and published by Bandai Namco Entertainment, the series comprises a total of 7 main installments, accompanied by various media spin-offs such as music albums and a collection of manga books. It all began with the release of the first game in the franchise, Soul Edge, as an arcade game in 1995. The immense popularity and success of the second main installment, Soul Calibur, in 1998 led to the adoption of Soul Calibur as the name of the entire series. Subsequent iterations have continued to bear the Soul Calibur name, solidifying its identity and legacy. Soul Calibur will always hold a special place in the hearts of many gamers, and still to this day has a very dedicated fan base who still play the game competitively. Guilty Gear's renowned fighting game franchise developed by Arc System Works. The series debuted in 1998 with the release of Guilty Gear for the PlayStation. Known for its fast-paced gameplay, heavy metal aesthetic, and unique characters, Guilty Gear quickly gained a dedicated fanbase. Sequels like Guilty Gear X and Guilty Gear XX introduced new mechanics and expanded the roster, solidifying the series' popularity. In 2008, Arc System Works launched Guilty Gear 2 Overture, which shifted the gameplay style to a hybrid between fighting and strategy. Additionally, the franchise received a reboot with Guilty Gear Xrd Sign in 2014, introducing visually striking 3D graphics with 2D gameplay. This was followed by Guilty Gear Xrd Revulator and Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2, further refining the mechanics and adding new characters. Arc System Works would also release many more popular fighting games, such as BlazBlue and Dragon Ball FighterZ, and continue to this day with its popular and diverse collection of fighting games, currently making them a top contender in the fighting game scene. Smash Bros. Is a popular fighting game series developed and published by Nintendo. It originated in 1999 with the release of Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64. The game introduced a unique concept, bringing together various Nintendo characters and pitting them against each other in epic battles. It became a hit, leading to the development of sequels such as Super Smash Bros. Melee for the GameCube and Super Smash Bros. Brawl for the Wii. These games expanded the roster, introduced new gameplay mechanics, and gained a dedicated competitive scene. The series continued to evolve with Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 3DS and Wii U, and reached new heights with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for the Nintendo Switch. Ultimate boasts the largest roster to date, including characters from various franchises beyond Nintendo. With its mix of nostalgia, competitive gameplay, and crossover appeal, the Smash Bros. Series has left an indelible mark on the gaming community and remains a staple in the world of fighting games. As we reach the end of the video, I know there are plenty of fighting games that I have left out, and if there was a game you truly loved that didn't make it into this video, I apologize. The genre is so rich with plenty of solid titles, making it one of the most diverse selections in video gaming. For the sake of keeping the video from going on forever, I wanted to mainly highlight the most popular / influential titles that have been released, with one of the most dedicated and caring fan bases in video gaming. New games consistently coming out like Street Fighter 6 or an eagerly anticipated release of the next Tekken or Smash Bros. Game. Fighting games will consistently fight to be in the top forefront of gaming, and us as fans will always have its back. I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch this video, and as always, I hope you enjoyed it. Without you all, none of this would matter. So truly from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you. And remember to always stay fighting.